You know, it's been a while since I've actually recommended a comic book for you guys to read on this show, so that's exactly what I'm going to do today. Arrow Season 4 starts this week, and while I still have yet to see an actual episode of the show, I know there are people out there wondering if there is a definitive Green Arrow comic they should be checking out. You know, that one defining story everybody points you to when you say you like a particular character. Superman has All-Star Superman, Batman has The Dark Knight Returns, Green Lantern has 9 years worth of Jeff Johns stories, and Green Arrow has one of those too, Mike Grell's The Longbow Hunters. So Green Arrow The Longbow Hunters was a 3-issue prestige format miniseries released by DC back in 1987. The story starts with Green Arrow and Black Canary moving to Seattle, Washington to start a new life, one with a lot less crime fighting now that Green Arrow is 43 years old. But certain events transpire, like the introduction of a serial killer called the Seattle Slasher, and the large amount of drugs that are on the city streets that force the two to go out and clean up their new home. Green Arrow even abandons his old Robin Hood look and adopts a more hooded archer look. He even abandons his famous trick arrows in favor of more traditional pointy ones. Along the way, they meet new characters like Shadow, a rival archer who's trying to kill those who dishonored her Yakuza agent father. Their paths continue to cross as her targets and Arrow's targets wind up being the same drug suppliers, always keeping them at odds with each other. Now, The Longbow Hunters is an early example of a gritty reboot. It came out at around the same time as Dark Knight Returns, and a lot of comics were going down that route. But this is actually a gritty reboot that worked. It acknowledges the campy silliness of Green Arrow stories past, but adds a weight and world weariness to it that makes the character's decision to go back into the game much harder than he ever has feel that much more important. Green Arrow and Black Canary are now in a real-world city with real-world problems like drugs and prostitution. And while there certainly are comic booky elements like the introduction of Shadow, Mike Grell adds just enough grit to make everything seem that much more dangerous and real. And I mean dangerous. There's some pretty dark things happening in this book. And without spoiling too much, one of those dark things happens to Black Canary that forces Green Arrow to do something that not many superheroes take kindly to. And it's all written and drawn masterfully by Grell. His artwork is unlike anything else at the time, or even now, looking more like it was done with colored pencils than the traditional method. It just helps to make the story stand out that much more. So much so that Grell went on to write the first Green Arrow ongoing series for 80 issues from 88 to 93. And his Green Arrow was the default Green Arrow for the entire DC universe, rarely crossing over with the more fantastical and extra-worldly elements of the DCU, at least until he died and Kevin Smith brought back the classic style Oliver Queen. And while classic Oliver Queen may be back, the effects of Longbow Hunters can still be felt. Hell, like I said, I'm not all caught up on the TV show, but even by looking at the promotional stills, I can see that it was inspired by Longbow Hunters. If you want to start reading Green Arrow, I highly recommend you start here. It still stands as one of the best stories of the character and one of the top works of superhero fiction. And it will guarantee make you appreciate the character that much more, even his sillier aspects. What do you guys think? Have you read The Longbow Hunters? Are you going to now? What are some of your favorite Green Arrow comics? Let me know down below or anywhere on the internet. We will be at New York Comic Con this week, so come by, say hello, and pick up Longbow Hunters while you're there. You can probably find it for pretty cheap. As always, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with a friend. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you next time. For example, you have books like Wanted and Kick-Ass, both written by Mark Millar, but drawn by different artists, J.G. Jones and John Romita Jr. respectively. And yet, despite the unique art styles, it's very clear that Millar's voice is the one being heard, and that the artists don't really supply anything to the overall narrative besides a different aesthetic.
This new Zombies looks gigantic.
Yeah.
And you even, the collector's edition is all zombied out. It's all about the zombies.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to play it. So that's a whole part of the game that I am never going to play.